Ready to go walking?
Yeah.
I spent a not insignificant amount of time planning for and fantasizing about my plans to thru hike the Appalachian Trail. I put in a ton of research, quite a bit of money, and just most of my free time and free thought was occupied with the trail. I was on a mission. And then COVID hit, and I should preface all of this by saying that I'm so lucky to have not been personally directly affected by COVID. I'm happy and I'm healthy. But for especially the first part of all the shutdowns in the first wave, I was, I could say in denial about, but I'm going to say being optimistic and holding on to the hope that it wouldn't have affected my plans to hike. Lo and behold, it did. And the whole Appalachian Trail got shut down. The Conservancy wasn't going to recognize any hikers that were starting and continuing hiking while we were. So I decided, all right, I gotta sit down with Maxwell. It was more so Maxwell's decision than mine. But we sat down and we said, all right, what are we gonna do now? We were like, all right, there's the North Country Trail there, and we both know the UP, and we both know a bit of the North Country Trail. Max has taken me across the Red River Bridge access portion down by Manistee National Forest. I've hiked in Canton Manistee National Forest, and we've seen a ton of the landmarks up here in the UP, and we've lived here the past 3 years. So, that was that. And it was a little bit frightening how quickly we went from, huh, man, our hike got canceled, to guess we'll do this.
Talking,
Ask me that question.
yeah, but then like the question like kind of ruins the answer.
No, that's the question.
Now, see, what I was gonna say is like the vastness of this trail is starting to sink in. Like before, it was just like some monolith out in the distance. Look, I look like a silly goose right now, with snowman shoes and like white ladies gloves.
Especially considering how much time and effort we put into figuring out the Appalachian Trail. There are so many resources available. We watched documentaries, read trail reports. I had a guide. I had read novels written by thru hikers. And all in all, we were prepared to do this hike, and then to all of a sudden change our mind and say, yeah, we'll just walk across the UP, which is a much more fresh trail, certainly fewer people hiking on it, and it was kind of a bit of a shock going from something that seemed so planned to just something that was on a whim.
I wonder where the trail goes. Oh, interesting. Never would have thought.
Over here. The Appalachian Trail is very different from the North Country Trail. The Appalachian Trail is a whole lot more like up and down, climbing up mountains, and hell, there's no mountains in Michigan.
Well, the UP isn't all flat.
But the NCT poses an interesting challenge. morally and physically. It's not nearly as up and down. The trail's probably at least not as rocky in most sections as the Appalachian Trail can get. That being said, that certainly doesn't make it easy, because it is not a well-maintained trail.
Really wishing I had pants. I don't know.
All right, Brad, you coming?
I think I'm just a bit.
Oh my God. Huge bump.
A beaver did that. And now the trail's gone. You go that way? You go that way? I don't know.
It'd be a good time for a work trip.
How you doing, Maxwell?
The other challenge that it poses that's different from the AT is the isolation.
I did take a little picture and video of the grouse.
I left my job without me, and now I head to Maine.
Max and I are a bit different with our hiking goals. He was just out there to hike, and I was a bit more excited about kind of the social aspect of hiking the Appalachian Trail. There's a shelter on average like every 8 miles, and you're constantly passing through towns. Not constantly, but you're pretty frequently passing through towns, and there's so many other hikers. Millions of people hike on that trail every single year, and there's so few people in the UP in total that we didn't really run into anyone. And that poses an interesting moral challenge, or at least morale challenge, where in the North Country Trail, it's just you. We were the only people out there. Occasionally we would walk into day hikers. When we were through towns, we'd see people, but nobody was hiking obviously there. And the few people that we did see that asked what we were up to were totally astonished by it when we told them that, oh yeah, we came actually from the Mackinac Bridge.
Generic video update, day number 4.
Yeah. Do we should like? Do we ever talk about what we did yesterday at all?
So, yesterday, we walked out of the endless maple forest with all the lilies of the valley on the floor, past the escarpment over there. What was that? What is that escarpment called?
I don't remember.
Neither do I. But we've walked past that in the 11 miles to our car. We drove down to visit Maxwell's parents for some Taco Bell and for some pants. Obviously, I didn't get any. That's okay. We drove to drop Max's car off at the next spot on the Superior shoreline. Not at Whitefish Bay, but up farther. And spent like hours driving through this endless sand labyrinth of empty wasteland. It was not enjoyable whatsoever. It was very frustrating for Maxwell, the navigator. What is your dinner tonight?
Mush.
Yeah, you'd have laughed at me if I slipped and fell.
Not like audibly.
Sorry, I can't contain my happiness.
So, along the way here, we've trudged through swamps. We've walked through bowls of mud. We've had to bushwhack essentially and climb over down trees where you couldn't even see where the trail was. But one thing that was always certain was that at some point along the way, we'd see one of those beautiful blue blazes, whether it be on a tree or somewhere else.
I agree.
And so a lot of times we'd lose the path and we'd start to lose hope as well. But those little blue blazes kept us going.
Yes, I agree with Maxwell. Well said. yes, regardless of how tricky the trail has become, which it has been tricky, as Maxwell stated, just trudging through big old mud bowls and climbing over hooky rocks, finding our way through fields of bushes of bristles and many other obstacles. in our
Also,
way.
I found a newfound hate. I have a new hatred for any plants with thorns or prickles that I could not possibly have comprehended before this.
That's the one wearing pants. Look what I got over here. Look at this.
Oh, I wasn't always
Look
wearing
at this.
pants.
When we first started out, at some nights it dipped below 25 degrees. I was sleeping in a 20-degree bag, and Maxwell, bless his poor soul, was sleeping in a 30-degree quilt. There were plenty of nights where we got snowed on. We kind of lucked out with the weather in that we really didn't hit much, if any, rain, but it was cold.
Maxwell, what's the date?
May 12th?
It's freaking May 12th and there's a snowbank. You go sledding? You having fun, Maxwell?
Yeah.
This was our means of social distancing. Everyone else was cooped up inside, and we had been for a while, and we were just getting tired. I was staying with my parents or with my family, which was nice to see them, and Max was too, but I was just bored. I was away from all my friends. Obviously, everyone's cooped inside, and hell, I was even starting to get tired of playing Animal Crossing on my Switch and stuff like that, so Max was just like, hey, do you want to walk across the UP next week? And we went. And so we brought both of our cars, and we socially distanced while driving up there, and when we stopped for gas, we used gloves and masks and hand sanitizer, as everyone should be doing. But we thought, what a great way to actually get out and socially distance, is to be on a trail that no one's walking on.
Sunshine, home again.
So there's the sun. Let's drop the brightness so you can see.
Blisters
Beautiful
on
light show.
our skin.
But thus begins the end of another day. We're about a day away from the car. We're gonna stop in the Houghton because we have more blisters than feet right now. And so we're gonna take a medical day to spend tomorrow night in Houghton. Wake up early, clean up our blisters, get back out and do like 10 miles on the trail. Because around, I think Max said 218, mile 218 that is, there is a cabin that we could spend the night in.
I know.
But there's a nice cabin that we could spend the night in,
Find the
which would be
place where we
a nice,
call home. I
change of scenery. I'm all packed up and eating brekkie.
just
My
you
shelter's all
and
taken
me,
down.
my dear.
And Maxwell hasn't taken his shelter down yet. Slow poke, slow poke.
Where
Look at
else
him, look at him, he's
could
slow.
I be alone. Just promise me you won't go too far. The stretches of sand in the beach would chart again. stuck here, wondering for in to come. My silver blood and a broken gun. Just look what we've become.
The coolest part about hiking on the trail is the structure, at least for me. Every day starts the same. You wake up after what was hopefully a decent night's sleep, but probably had a few disturbances in it. And you slowly roll over and realize the sun's not even up. It's 4 or 5 a.m. Sometimes you sleep in, but it's 4 or 5 a.m. and the sun's not even up yet. It's cold, your bag is warm, your shelter's warm, but you realize it's time to get going. And your whole body is screaming at you, dude, chill for a second. Lie here and heal. But you don't have time to, because you've got miles to get down. You've got miles to crush.
So that's where it is.
Ah, never would have guessed.
Oh, that is very silly.
If you get me falling, it'll be great. We'll laugh about it for seconds to come.
One thing I'd like to speak about while it's fresh on my mind right now is the difference in the concepts of discomfort and difficulty. Because a lot of the first section of the trail, discomfort was what accounted for a lot of my apprehension and a lot of my trepidations about actually completing it. It had a lot to do with the wind and the cold and the wet, and never really was the trail anything more than just a straight, flat road. I mean, granted, there were obstacles with puddles and down trees and things, but what was really giving me difficulty was the discomfort of having shorts when it was too cold, or the wind at night, or the snow, or accidentally getting wet in things. And now that we've moved on to different sections, we've had this kind of huge change, not only in the weather where the average temperature jumped up 20 degrees, but also with the difficulty of the trek, because we started moving away from the flatter, marshier areas that were the eastern UP, and now we're in the central, where it's in the Marquette area, and it's starting to get a whole lot hillier. Just today we started out climbing and then descending a hill that was like 1,750 feet of elevation at its peak. And holy hell, was it a challenge. It was rocky, uneven ground, no real visible trail through, plenty of downed trees and obstacles and unsure footing, and man, was it difficult, especially with the heat that we're experiencing recently, or today it's been like mid-70s. It's a whole new type of challenge that is causing a lot of difficulty in a lot of ways I wouldn't have expected.
I'd laugh if I just ruined the shot right now.
You just did.
When I say the conversation wasn't always like that, I really mean it, because your mentality changes a ton across the trail. When we started, and you'll see when we started, it was big smiles and enthusiasm, and just, we were so full of them, it was really naive, because man, is backpacking a piece of shit. Oh, we started out, and the whole time we're just remarking, oh man, this weather's great. Oh, it's a little cold, that's fine. Oh, my feet hurt, that's fine. No, it's no, we're just happy to be out here. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. Wow, we're gonna walk so far. All the while, the sheer, like, the magnitude and the severity of the task ahead of you has not hit you whatsoever. You are just so blinded by excitement. And it reflects it. We're walking along this trail, and the first few days were the coldest, but we didn't really complain too much. Oh, there was definitely complaining, but not nearly as much as there probably should have been. And I don't even, like, with halfway into the first day, like, all of my trepidations about walking this trail had been entirely assuaged by just the hiker's high of it, I guess. And man, did that change fast. It felt like that when all of a sudden it felt like we wanted to get off the trail. Every single day there was a moment where we were like, oh, I want to stop. And every single day we didn't, until we did. Both at different points, mind you. And by that I mean me first.
Oh, this vlog even has notches in it. It's sick. Could I have walked down this easily? Sure, but this is way more fun.
Fun fact, we are still at 1,300 feet above sea level. And we just came down from the top of that hill.
Every once in a while you find a cool landmark or a cool view, and of course, every single one feels just so unique to you and you alone. Max and I were constantly remarking about how just wonderful the experience was because of how dissimilar it would be to anyone else's experience. Only we were getting these views, and only we were getting all of these views in succession. The views don't get any better. The landmarks don't get any cooler. The sunsets don't get any prettier. You just beat the shit out of yourself the whole way there. And for that, they seem a little more grand to you and you alone. And I guess that's alright. Part of the challenge of the trail is the isolation of them, and it felt very similar being out there as it did being cooped up inside.